A solitary figure strolls along the sidewalk, and if you inquired about his companions, he'd grin and admit he possesses none. This isn't due to any gruffness or eccentricity on his part. Rather, he's pierced the veil of one of existence's most enduring deceptions. He's uncovered that the notion of relying on others to fulfill oneself is akin to a ripple fretting over its isolation from the sea. This realization unsettles the majority profoundly. Imagine if our frantic craving for connections actually blinds us to the simplest reality. From this core delusion stem all our isolation, our worries over gaining approval, belonging, or enduring in memory. Yet the solitary walker has grasped the punchline. He's understood that isolated fragments don't exist. There's merely the sea feigning fragmentation. Allow me to share an intriguing observation. The more you strive to forge bonds, the further they slip away. It's reminiscent of pursuing one's silhouette. You might dash after it endlessly, yet it perpetually evades your grasp. The individual who's ceased this pursuit has learned that bonds aren't prizes to claim, they're truths to acknowledge. Consider this. What do you truly pursue in a companion? An ear attuned to your thoughts. But who is this self-demanding comprehension? A partner for your adventures, yet who endures these moments? A fellow chuckle at existence's quirks, but who deems them quirky? Delve deeper, and you'll see that the seeker and the sought are one and the same. We endure a profound, universal forgetfulness. We've lost sight of our interconnected essence, mistaking ourselves for isolated entities colliding haphazardly in a cold cosmos. In truth, we're manifestations of a singular essence, like swells on a unified sea or limbs on a shared trunk. The swell, convinced it requires fellow swells for wholeness, has merely overlooked its watery core. The limb, anxious over links to peers, has ignored its rooted unity. That's precisely why the lone wanderer feels no void. He's recalled his authentic being, not this confined, fragile identity craving endless affirmation and proximity. Instead, the boundless consciousness from which all moments emerge. He's perceived that the inquiries, "Who am I?" and "Who are you?" converge on identical ground. And upon truly grasping this, the entire dilemma of companionship evaporates like dawn's haze. But please, don't misinterpret. I'm not advocating seclusion or dismissing interpersonal ties as worthless. The lone walker doesn't shun crowds or spurn company. He merely refrains from grasping at it. It doesn't define his wholeness. He savors interactions without anchoring his value or essence to them. Picture the contrast between a parched soul, frantic for liquid, and one relishing a refreshing sip amid summer heat. The desperate one swallows in panic, barely savoring the flow, eternally dreading depletion. The content one partakes leisurely, cherishing each bit, secure in knowing his core isn't tied to the beverage. He stands intact from the start. We typically engage bonds like that thirst-driven figure with hydration, devouring recognition, endorsement, presence in haste, perpetually fearing scarcity, endlessly gauging our portions against neighbors. We tally points. We gauge self-value by incoming calls, gatherings, or birthday nods. However, the lone walker holds the key insight. He harbors no thirst. He never did. The belief in deriving necessities from elsewhere was mere illusion, and herein lies the exquisite irony. Once you release the urgent hunger for allies, they flow toward you effortlessly. Folks gravitate to those self-sufficient. There's an allure in one who doesn't grasp, who avoids insistence, who skips perpetual reassurance hunts. They emit a liberating aura that's captivating. Yet even this pull misses the mark. The lone walker seeks no charm or draw. He's simply ended the draining charade of feigned deficiency. He's quit performing as a detached entity, yearning outward wholeness. By halting this pretense, he's unveiled his inherent state, forever intertwined with everything. Curiously, we cling to this odd belief that sentience is an individual asset, that perception is a personal holding, much like a purse or timepiece. But suppose awareness resembles the void around us. The expanse doesn't adhere to the items it envelops. The openness here isn't distinct from that adjoining space. It's a continuous expanse, seeming partitioned by barriers and limits that hold only in superficial views. Similarly, the consciousness. The realization that the awareness you claim as your own is identical to the one others identify as theirs creates a profound unity, seemingly split only by the confines of distinct bodies and identities. Yet these divides resemble the barriers we perceive in the cosmos, tangible in certain contexts, yet fundamentally deceptive. The individual who journeys solo has pierced this veil of fragmented consciousness. He understands that the same awareness peering through your gaze is also viewing the world via every other pair of eyes. We're not isolated entities undergoing parallel lives. Rather, it's a single essence exploring the illusion of diversity. That's precisely why solitude doesn't weigh on him. How could isolation grip you when you encompass all? How might you yearn for company when each encounter reveals another facet of your own being? It's akin to a performer lamenting the absence of dialogue partners on an empty stage, overlooking that he's embodying every role in a solo production. To ground this in reality, you could counter, "Sure, this rings with deep thought, but isolation still tugs at me. I continue to seek bonds. I persist in desiring someone who truly gets me, who values me, who intertwines their path with mine." Naturally, these urges are valid, deeply human, and shouldn't be dismissed or buried. The real inquiry isn't about their existence, but your approach to them. Do you accept them as the ultimate truth of your state? Do you insist that joy hinges on fulfilling these longings, or might you recognize their true essence? They're merely fluctuations within awareness, fleeting shifts like clouds drifting over a vast mental expanse. The solitary traveler has mastered the art of observing his own isolation with the calm curiosity he'd apply to watching vapors glide across the heavens. He neither battles the emotion, nor scrambles to resolve it, nor flees its presence. Instead, he witnesses its emergence and fade, just as with all transient aspects of life. And through this mindful witnessing, a transformation unfolds. The sensation sheds its grip on his peace. It evolves into yet another movement in the grand theater of mind. Far from icy indifference or sensory dullness, this is liberation, release from the tyranny of every passing mood in the realm of thought. The one who treads his path independently can sense solitude without succumbing to it. He can harbor the wish for unity without becoming its captive. And in this ironic twist, such autonomy enhances his ability to form authentic ties rather than diminishing it, for he's engaging others from a foundation of sufficiency, free from urgency or scarcity. He encounters them as they truly exist, unclouded by his unmet expectations. He offers affection without ownership, savors moments without attachment, unites without dissolving into the counterpart. Consider, too, that much of what passes for camaraderie is actually reciprocal dependency, a pair of unfinished souls attempting to mend one another, two hollow vessels seeking to quench each other's voids, but one deficiency can't replenish another. The lone wanderer has uncovered that emptiness was never his reality. He embodies plenitude, and from that abundance, true bonds emerge organically. Reflect on the sun for a moment. It doesn't rely on borrowing radiance from distant stars to glow. Its brilliance stems from its inherent quality. and through this innate luminosity drawn from its core, it bathes the surrounding universe in light. Other heavenly orbs orbit its pull, not due to any deliberate gathering, but through the innate allure of its totality. Similarly, the man who navigates alone embodies this. He's unearthed that his core isn't deficient or fragmented, but luminous and integral. From this integrity, he effortlessly brightens the existence of those he meets. Individuals gravitate toward him not from his efforts to build alliances, but because he emanates the very essence sought in companionship, an affirmation of their inherent wholeness. Yet, here's the fascinating turn. As his sense of completeness deepens, he grasps that it was never an individual achievement. It's not that he, as a lone figure, has attained unity. Rather, he's acknowledged the unity that has eternally prevailed. He's perceived that his true self was never fractured, thus requiring no repair. This insight reshapes all. When you perceive yourself not as a detached ego, striving to link with other detached egos, but as the singular awareness manifesting through myriad forms, then each interaction turns into a self-encounter. Each exchange morphs into an inner conversation. Each bond becomes an interplay among varied expressions of one entity. The solitary figure hasn't shunned connections, he's unveiled their authentic nature. Not disparate elements forcing unity, but a unified whole feigning division. Not solitude conquering isolation, but totality beholding itself amid seeming variety. And that's why he can traverse alone, untouched by loneliness. Why he requires no companions, yet connects with every soul. That's because he avoids seeking others, but remains eternally intertwined with all. He's unraveled the mystery of interpersonal bonds by realizing there was no puzzle to begin with. It was merely the singular awareness feigning multiplicity, questing for its essence amid misguided pursuits. You may ponder, how can someone embody this solitary figure? Does it demand a ritual, a discipline, a skill? And therein lies the exquisite irony. You are already that figure. You've forever been that figure. The essence of solitary traversal isn't something to acquire. It's an unveiling of your inherent state. It emerges the moment you cease masquerading as another entity. The pursuit of allies, the dread of isolation, the urgent craving for bonds, these stem from mental fabrications, narratives spun by the psyche about your identity and desires. In truth, you are the consciousness wherein these tales emerge and fade. You're not the protagonist in the tale yearning for companionship. You are the creator, scripting every role, the awareness enveloping the whole theater of interactions. To grasp this, no extraordinary effort is required. Just halt the contrived pretense. Cease crediting the illusion of division. Refrain from treating your self-concepts with undue gravity. Imagine a performer so immersed in his role that he's lost sight of the performance. He needn't master authenticity. He simply recalls the artifice from the start. The solitary walker has reclaimed that insight. He's pierced the intricate charade of self-concealment that awareness indulges in. He understands that each encounter, be it with ally or outsider, manifests the identical awareness donning varied guises. Can vastness experience seclusion? Can awareness yearn for unity with its own being? Yet, avoid transforming this into yet another esoteric notion to seize or milestone to claim. The solitary walker isn't an exalted sage in some grand narrative. He's merely one who has abandoned a falsehood that never held water. He's every individual who lingers sufficiently to observe that the consciousness absorbing these lines is identical to the ever-present essence across all experiential instants. This consciousness neither arrives nor departs. It neither senses solitude nor linkage, plenitude nor void. It simply exists. All else, including the narrative of a fragmented self desperate for allies, arises within it, akin to vapors drifting across a boundless expanse. Those vapors might rage or serene, yet they never alter the expanse underneath. Thus, when the urge for camaraderie surges, when solitude's chill seizes you, when division's tail looms large, recall this truth. You aren't the fleeting mist of isolation traversing consciousness. You are the expanse itself, immense, receptive, impervious to any transient gusts. The solitary walker differs not from you. He is you, stripped of division's fable. He endures as the residue once you abandon the strenuous bid to mend, fulfill, or link a supposed defective self. He represents the dawning that your timeless core is already complete, inherently linked to all, unbound. In this dawning, the journey persists. But no longer as an isolated entity navigating a foreign realm, rather as awareness exploring its boundless expressions, the flow of unity manifesting as diversity, existence's rhythm reveling in the guise of a lone wanderer who seems detached yet comprehends his totality. Such is the enigma of the one devoid of friends, treading solo. He's unearthed that solitude eludes him, for he encompasses all. Companionship is superfluous, as he embodies connection's very foundation, the innate potential enabling every tie. In this vision he encounters not detachment, but life's profoundest communion. And maybe, as these phrases unfold before you, a similar recollection stirs. Maybe you're glimpsing the solitary walker not as a distant ideal, but as your profoundest essence, summoning you back to the unity you never truly forsook.